Guys, I am dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones that I used to know. Why is it, you may ask? Well, it's because I am gonna do a movie review on a classic movie from 1954 called White Christmas. So, without further ado, here it is. Let's get this started, shall we, folks? Cue the intro. Hey guys, this is Jonathan, the Disney fan here, and today I'm here to review on Irving Berlin's White Christmas. It came in the year 1954. It's basically what the plot is. It was Christmas Eve in Europe in 1944. At the height of World War II, the former Broadway star Captain Bob Wallace and inspiring performer Private Phil Davis entertained the 151st Division. The man had just received word their beloved Major General Thomas G. Waverly and has been revealed of his command. Waverly arrives and delivers an emotional farewell. The men send him off with a rousing chorus of old men after Waverly departs. Enemy bombers starts to attack the area and everyone takes cover. Davis shields Wallace from a collapsing wall and is then wounded by debris. Wallace asks how can he play back Davis for saving his life, and Davis suggests that they become a duo act, but Bob doesn't like it, and he feels obligated to agree. So after the war, the two make it big and they started performing and then as producers launching a hit musical called Playing Around. And they received a letter supposedly from their old Miss Sergeant Ben Freckleface Haynes asking him to view his sister's act. They watched Betty and Judy sing at the nightclub. And Phil, who likes to play a matchmaker, he notices Bob is interested in Betty. And after the performance, the four had met, and Phil and Judy immediately hit it off. Betty and Bob, however, argue about Bob's cynicism and the fact that it was really Judy who wrote the letter instead of Ben. Finding out that Judy that the girl's landlord is falsely suing them for a damaged rug and has even gone so far as to call the police to get his money. Then Phil gives them tickets, and he and Bob had purchased to spend Christmas in New York City. Bob and Phil improvise a performance, buy the girls time, and then they flee to the train where they now have to sit up in a club bar, much to Bob's chagrin. And the girls had convinced Phil and Bob to the Forego, New York, to spend Christmas with them in the Pine Tree, Vermont, where they were booked as performers. Upon arriving in Vermont, they find all the tourists that they had left due to no snow and seasonably warm weather, and they arrived at the empty Columbia Inn and are aghast to discover that General Waverly is the landlord of the hotel and has sunk his life savings into it, and is now in danger of bankruptcy. And the two guys had decided to invite some of the cast of Playing Around Pine Tree to stage a show to draw in the guests and include the two girls in the show, which is Betty and Judy. Betty and Bob's romance starts to bloom. Bob later finds out that Waverly received a humiliating rejection letter to his request to rejoin the army and is determined to prove to the general that he isn't forgotten. Bob decides to call up Ed Harrison and another old army buddy who has his own variety show for help. Ed suggests they put the general on the show and make a big scene of his misfortune and Bob's kindness, which would be free advertising for Bob and Phil, and Bob had strongly rejected the idea. Sadly, the housekeeper overheard the first half of the conversation, and she tells Betty, who becomes suddenly very aloof toward a baffled Bob. And Phil and Judy stage a phony engagement, thinking Betty is trying to avoid romance because she doesn't want to leave Judy unprotected. However, this backfires when Betty accepts a gig in New York and she leaves. And then Phil and Judy admit the truth to Bob, who becomes infuriated and hurries to New York to tell Betty. They partially reconcile, but he meets up with Harrison before he has a chance to find out what really was bothering her. Betty sees Bob going on Harrison's show and invite the entire 151st Division to secretly join him at the Pine Tree to surprise the General Waverly at Bob and Phil's expense. Realizing that she was mistaken, Betty returns to Vermont just in time to be in the show. But once again, on Christmas Eve, the soldiers surprise General Waverly with another rousing chorus when he arrives at the show, bringing him to tears. During the performance, Betty and Bob become engaged, and Judy and Phil decide to go through with their own engagement as everyone sings White Christmas, a fixed snowball at Last Blankets, Vermont. And that's basically what the plot for the entire film is. Guys, what do I think about it? Honestly, this is a really great classic. I mean, this is probably one of the best Christmas musicals I've ever seen ever. One of the best Christmas musicals. I like the plot. You know, the plot was very interesting. Yeah, I really like the plot for it. And I thought the characters were interesting, like Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, Vera Ellen, and everybody. They did a good job with their characters, and I like how they sang White Christmas at the end. It was a very lovely ending, and how they get along at the end. I thought the plot was very good. It had one of the richest plot ever, and yeah, and Irving Berlin, he did such a good job with the music. I really loved the music. I thought if you listen to the music, you can understand how lovely those music sounds in this film. I mean, Irving Berlin is a good he does make some good music. Sadly, he died. Yeah, he died a very long time in 1989, but he really made some great music from the past. Michael Curtis, who is a director, he did a good job with the directing. I thought you get into the plot and the details of this movie of White Christmas, how it takes place, and 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 it features the songs, including the new version of White Christmas that was introduced by Crosby in the 1942 film Holiday Inn. Mhm. And White Christmas was enormously popular with the audience, and and in Rotten Tomatoes it has a certified fresh 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I and there was a United and there was a re-release back in 1961, and it still lives up to the type of its day. No matter how old it gets or how old you get, it never gets old, and it still lives up to the type. Still has wonderful characters, great songs, and a great plot. Irving Bowen's White Christmas is such a wonderful Christmas classic that I truly recommend. And it was very popular with the audience, earning 12 million in the theatrical rentals. Yeah, I really like that movie very much. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do. This is such a wonderful Christmas classic, and one of the greatest Christmas musicals ever as well. So for my final rating for White Christmas, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 7. Outstanding film. And there you go. That was my review on White Christmas from 1954. Thank you so much for watching this video once again, guys. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to me. This is Jonathan, the Disney fan here, signing off, and I'll see you guys later.